is, at its core, a fortress against government wrong, a provision enacted by the people to promote fairness and prevent the arbitrary deprivation of their liberty by the state. Today, Americans are accustomed to relying upon the more substantive, concrete rights enumerated in the Bill of Rights. However, the original vision reflected in the body of the Constitution relied upon separation of powers and checks and balances to restrain potential tyrants from trampling on these rights. This contrast raises a critical question. Is it essential to name our rights, or is it sufficient to simply limit the power of those who might restrict?
Answering the essential question of why is government been instituted at all, Alexander Hamilton claimed in Federalist No. 15 that the passions of men will not conform to the dictates of reason and justice without constraint. Further in the want to simply ratify the body of the Constitution. Yet George Mason, along with others, recognized that this document needed the Bill of Rights in order to more narrowly and specifically define the rights stated in the body of the Constitution. However, the body of the Constitution exercises the use of both positive and negative tactics to protect individual rights of citizens, such as in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2, in which the document establishes restrictions on the government through the writ of habeas corpus.
Habeas corpus, meaning you shall have the body in Latin, describes the individual right of due legal process and prevents the government from indefinite detention before the law. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3 abolishes bills of attainder, by which the legislature targets an individual for prosecution, bypassing the right to due legal process through the judicial branch. This protects the individual right to have a fair trial, while the rest of the clause defends citizens from unfair criminalization. Ex post facto laws were also abolished in Clause 3 because they grant the government the ability to prosecute someone for a crime that became illegal after it was committed. Therefore, annulling this government power is an example of securing individual rights within the body of the Constitution.
In the Federalist No. 84, Alexander Hamilton asserts, "Here, in strictness, the people surrender nothing in the Constitution, and as they retain everything, they have no need for particular reservations. Why, for instance, should it be said that the liberty of the press shall be not restrained, when no power is given by which restrictions may be imposed?" We disagree with Hamilton's argument that the Constitution doesn't need explicitly laid out rights.
While habeas corpus promotes the idea of having a right to a fair and speedy trial, in Article 3, Section 1, Clause 3 protects the right of a jury of people within one state, neither specify the implications of underlying individual rights that are necessary rights of people. As a consequence of this ambiguity, the Fifth and Sixth Amendments were created to address the concerns of the governed that the Constitution grants. In the Sixth Amendment, the right to a jury that is particularly ascertained by the law and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation.
The Bill of Rights was created with the intention of making individual rights a set priority in order to defend citizens against a possibly tyrannical government. It was the bulwark that kept anti-federalists from disagreeing with the ratification altogether. While the Bill of Rights covers gaps within the body of the Constitution, the addition of more amendments could help address other gray areas that either Constitution nor the Bill of Rights address.
In the District of Columbia, voting rights differ from other citizens because it is a special federal district. The Constitution states in Article 1, Section 8, that Congress has exclusive jurisdiction over the district to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever, as may, by session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States.
However, today, while Washington, D.C. has a population of over 600,000, they have no representation in Congress granted by the Constitution. An amendment should be created in order to resolve this and give a large portion of Americans their fundamental right of representation. Thank you.
We now have some follow-up questions. Alexander Hamilton claimed that prohibiting titles of nobility helped make liberty more secure. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I would agree with the statement. As seen in their previous form of government, nobility would dominate over the representative public. And if you take that away, you are securing the individual liberties of all of the people, not just the nobility and the elite of that nation.
Thank you.
So one of my questions is, the Ninth Amendment really encompasses a broad range of individual rights. Do you still feel that there are any individual rights? You spoke of DC's rights as a political entity. Do you think there are any individual rights that remain in jeopardy without a constitutional amendment?
I believe that
the Democratic Party won the vote with 51%, only 3 of the 18 Congress members in the House of Representatives were Democratic, which just shows this lack of representation of the people.
Additionally, I think there should be an amendment created that provides for electoral college reform. As seen in this past election and in past elections, it is ineffective at giving the people the candidate that they want. And electoral college reform should be established to give each electoral college vote to specific districts, such as Maine does in the United States today.
You did a very good job of explaining some of the protections in the Constitution rather than the Bill of Rights. You talked about ex post facto laws, bills of attainder, writ habeas corpus. So going to your point with the recent election and some people being worried about some things, how do those three things offer protection to people that might be worried that the incoming administration might not treat them fairly?
Habeas corpus, and you have the right of the body. This gives people the knowledge to know why they're being detained. And this fundamental right of due process is something that I think will continue to remain strong and that despite any precedent.
Continuing off of what my colleague Marissa just stated, specifically with immigrants, as seen with President-elect Donald Trump's comments on immigration, habeas corpus is fundamental to their being in this nation, and it is supported through the 14th Amendment that says you cannot deprive any person of their life, liberty, or property without due legal process.
In the Supreme Court case, Wongman v. United States, it established a precedent that undocumented immigrants still have right to due process if they are persecuted in the United States. And I think that the precedent set in that court case will continue to stand.
And additionally, the precedent set in other Supreme Court cases such as Griswold v. Connecticut, where it establishes the right to marital privacy, but more specifically establishes the blanket of precedent for privacy. Going off of habeas corpus and ex post facto laws allows people to be secure in their persons and allow for that fundamental disagreement and dissent that is necessary to move society forward.
Great, thank you. Do you believe anything contained in the Bill of Rights has expanded beyond the constitutional rights that were recognized in the constitutional framework? Meaning, has the Bill of Rights gone too far or not? Or do you think they haven't gone far enough?
I don't think the Bill of Rights has gone too far because a right is at its core a correction of a governmental wrong. So we can see whenever an amendment is created, they are created because of past governmental wrongs. In the First Amendment, we can see that it was created because people's freedom of speech or freedom of religion and press was it was prohibited or by in other places.
Additionally, I think that judicial application of the Bill of Rights allows restrictions on where it might be seen as going too far, such as in Brandenburg v. Ohio, the Brandenburg test has been implemented with freedom of speech, that if anything is incited to or likely to incite imminent lawless action, it is prohibited, and such judicial application to the Bill of Rights, others do not be seen as going too far in what it is.
I think additionally, when the founders created the Constitution, when they talked about freedom of speech, it didn't necessarily also encompass freedom of expression, which is now a fundamental right for all individuals in America. So I think that in that way, in today's society, we've expanded the First Amendment right.
So, why is it important, as Article 1 does, to continue to protect the political rights of our congressmen and women?
It's important for the rights of the congressmen and women to be protected under the Constitution because they are the true representatives of the people. And for that true representation to be as effective as possible, the rights of congressmen and women need to be explicitly laid out as to protect everyone's right to representation.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. First off, before I thank you, I'd like to thank your support group, all the parents, the family members, teachers, peers, because that is what gives this team so much
here, but you can also have fun.
So I would echo the comments of my judges as far as how great you guys did. Thank you for introducing your teacher and your unit coach. In a short period of time, they've been able to develop your teacher, in particular teachers, a incredible tradition now. The Reno High, they honored last year being at nationals. In my group, Reno was top 5 in the country. And so that's what you have now as the standard, right? And that's fantastic. That's what Reno should be. And you did us very proud, and you did a very good job meeting that. Because I do believe you'll go on. I want to give you at least one tip. And I understood from the first follow-up question, the answer was very short, and there wasn't a lot of participation. Now, I understood it because, well, that's no brainer, right? Of course we should have a loyalty. And it shouldn't matter what you're born into, right? That's not America. So I get it, but you run the risk with the judges of saying, oh, not enough participation, not enough depth there. And that's a problem you guys raise to that level of understanding, is you almost, you're not arrogant, that's great, but you could almost be so in your answers, right? You have to assume we don't know much, right? And so just be careful going forward. We all know that easy answer, come up with some additional things to add on, because it does matter. Style points, it's so close at the next level. I shook my head at one point this way, and I just want you to know, that was because I was blown away. I